His is a story of fame, fortune, faith, and forgiveness. But before he tells of his success, and more importantly, his salvation, this former National Football League wide receiver starts by explaining his upbringing.
I grew up in an orphanage. I have a lot to be bitter about. And until I was ready to forgive the people that have done so many things to me in my life, I wasn't able to be the kind of man that God had created me to be.
Right before my father died, I mean, we were a praying family. My father taught me how to pray. So I knew about Jesus Christ all my life, but I never knew him. There's a huge difference.
Joe Senser did not put Jesus first during his years growing up, and certainly didn't want a relationship with him while playing for the Minnesota Vikings.
Because I wasn't a believer when I was playing in the National Football League. But there were a few guys on the team that were. And I could never figure out what was so different about a guy who, when you cross the middle of the field, would rip your head off, take your chin strap and stick it under your armpit and kick you in the butt, and then put his hand down to help you up and say, "Do you know Jesus Christ?" I couldn't understand. I just couldn't understand how a guy could be that way.
But one coach had a game plan that, upon looking back, would play a pivotal role in Joe Senser's journey.
He would say to me every day, "Senser, where are you today in your walk with the Lord?" I'd see him in the hallway and run the other way because I couldn't understand, I mean, I just didn't know. I didn't need Jesus Christ. I was a pro athlete and I was doing well and I had nice things and I kept Christ on the shelf here, so like I only pulled him out when I actually needed him. "Oh, help me, Lord," that sort of thing that we all have done in our lifetime, are all guilty of. And the Lord's been knocking on my life everywhere. I mean, I look back and the things to this day that I've done in my life, and I've never done anything by myself. All my accomplishments have come from other people, or I know the Lord has had his hand in the lives of people.
So now this former pro athlete turned successful restaurant owner and entrepreneur travels throughout the country speaking of his time in the NFL and how things have changed over the years. His own personal change is now his testimony.
God gives us his innate ability to be competitive. He obviously doesn't care who wins and losses. I can prove that. But the Bible does speak about finishing the race, about finishing, enduring, okay? And that's what a professional athlete is. No, you're not always going to win, but you always try your best. And you always do the best you can, and you endure through anything. Because I was always living in constant fear and anger. But there's a peace that comes over people who love the Lord. And they know where their eternity is. They know they have no fear of anything. And that was the difference between the guys who were players that didn't believe and the guys who did. And I thought it was absolutely unbelievable.